Alrighty, everybody. Oh, happy day. I hope you're doing insanely well. I'm sitting here with Kenny from Medicare Millennials. We're going to have fun today. We're going to talk about the riches that exist in the niches of this space. If you're looking at working in the senior market, okay, selling insurance, whether it's Medicare, life, or annuities, my goodness, we're going to be talking about what you can attain from attacking and helping this great demographic. We're going to help you be decisive to understand maybe if you should be a face-to-face agent or maybe a telespace agent. We're going to get into this with you. But before we do this, jasonfinalexpense.com. I'm very blessed to run a national insurance agency. If you need any help at all, we do recruit agents across the nation. So reach out. We'll help you in any way we can. So Kenny from Medicare Millennials, thank you, brother, for being here. Say hey.
Hey, what's up, guys? Jason, so excited to be here, man. I love chatting with you. We've always chatted offline, on and off quite a bit for the past couple of years. So thanks for inviting me onto your channel.
Good. Thanks, buddy. You guys are doing great work over there. Love what you guys are doing. And thanks for coming on, buddy. And you guys, the biggest thing for the audience, to understand, Kenny does face-to-face. It's amazing, but he does things differently. All right. At the Medicare Millennials, and different is not bad. Different can be really freeing. So let's talk about maybe what you do different selling Medicare, and you guys do it insanely well on the face-to-face arena. What does that look like for you? How did you niche down for the audience?
Yeah, man, I'll try to shorten what could otherwise be a long story, right? How we ended up where we are. But what's funny is, you kind of say what me and Ethan, and we're not like the only people that do this. We didn't necessarily invent this idea, but it's what we specialize in, right? Mm-hmm. It is unique, but in a way, it's kind of a retro thing. Like we kind of just took what has worked in years past and have applied it to the Medicare market. And like you said, riches are in the niches. So while everybody else was zigging, we were kind of zagging and ended up here. So in a nutshell, we just take a really simple local approach to building a Medicare book of business. So we do mostly face-to-face. When things hit with COVID and the ups and downs, you can do what we do, this local Medicare presence over the phone. And some of our agents do that. But most people that work with us do lean more face-to-face, and that's what I do. And we really use two marketing tools. One of them is good old-fashioned direct mail leads. Okay, that's the basis of the foundation of how we encourage agents to get started in this business. Okay, because it's a high intent lead. Not necessarily the highest intent lead. There's a lot of new marketing strategies out there, but it's a consistent high intent lead that when I say consistent, you can get kind of a regular amount of leads every week once you learn how to do direct mail marketing and partner with some third party that helps you do that. And then the second aspect to what we do is we really are focused on local. So that could mean within a 200-mile radius, or if you live in a more populated area, that can mean within a 50-mile radius. It could even mean just in your city or large town if you've got enough prospects there. So you start out with that direct mail campaign. You go visit these folks face-to-face and make really good relationships. And then what you're trying to do is, as you grow, hit your first 100, 200 clients, then we want to add in like grassroots marketing and generating referrals because you're a local Medicare agent. And one thing I'll point out about this is there's a call center on every corner. When I say call center, I'm not talking to a telesales agent. I'm talking about a big call center, Medicare call center. But what there's not is a local Medicare agency on every corner. That's not a thing. There's a P&C home and auto guy on every corner in your local city. There's not a local Medicare agent on every corner. And so once you've built your core base using direct mail, you can begin to do these things locally to drive inbound calls to yourself because you're a locally known expert. And it's a really beautiful thing because you can begin to lower the amount of direct mail leads that you buy, and you can begin to double down on like these referrals and these local activities that you do for free leads. It's a really cool dynamic. So that's a high level view of what me and Ethan's kind of just general niche strategy is. And I will just throw this out there. We started as final expense agents. We've dabbled in, this is my 7th year in the business. but I didn't really niche down on Medicare, specifically Medicare Advantage, until 2.5 years ago. So I spent my first 4.5 years, I don't want to say dabbling, because I had success or I wouldn't have made it that far, right? I would have already filled out of the business, but I never found the niche for me or the right partnership to kind of really help me start succeeding long term. But I've done final expense. I still sell final expense to my Medicare customers, even occasional annuity, but I prefer to leave that to those guys. And I just love the senior market. I just so happen to niche down on Medicare, and it works for me. And Jason, you're well known in the industry for being specifically an expert in telesales, and so I'd love to hear what you guys are doing and what you specialize in, how that kind of looks compared to what me and Ethan focus on. So
sure, so appreciate that. Done telesales a long time, as you know, and our agency is 95% telesales, 5% face-to-face, which is like the opposite of most, right? And you guys are getting that ground game on, and I love that. In telesales, we've got such a bigger map, right? We can kind of like hella drop into Georgia, fly out, and then immediately drop into California, the next phone call, right? So we've got this ability to like auto transport, kind of like Star Trek, the old beamer, beam me up, Scotty, same idea in telesales. So it's pretty powerful that way to sell a lot of products. We do a lot of Medicare insurance, life insurance by phone, right? No big deal. But, it's just a different way of doing things, and the local advantage for sure. I'm even a big proponent, even in telesales, to work your own state, okay, unless you live in New York or in Florida. In that case, don't do outbound there. Watch my content. That'll help you. But when it comes to telesales, it's phenomenal because we can get a lot more leads for a lot lower cost. But I mean, the fact that you and your team are using direct mail leads, I've done telesales using direct mail leads. They're powerful. The buyer intends money. And a lot of good Medicare insurance agents can do great work by phone when you know what you're doing. Like for sure. So it's just a different way, not a right way or a wrong way. Like our agency does a lot of telesales. That's what we love, and it's fun. But it's not like in this position that, oh, Jason's right and Kenny's wrong. That's not the case. Kenny's doing crazy good work on the niche. And I love the fact that you're like, it's a local advantage. It's the truth. It is a truth. Like what you're doing, having that grassroots effort. We can create all of that by phone to a certain degree, but when they have that local street corner where they're like, hey, I see Kenny at, the grocery store, and I see him here, and I see him and his kiddos right at the local events there, that's going to get you some organic, traffic. Well, you have to get your hands dirty, okay, to grow an organic garden, it. But what you're doing, Kenny, is legit work. That face-to-face play, as you know, I used to do face-to-face back in the day. I'd prefer to do the telespace. Let's put it that way.
See, I think
it's hard work.
A great point right there, that a lot of agents, especially if you're brand new, if you're watching this video and you're kicking the tires, trying to figure out where in this big senior market pie where you can niche down and fit in, here's a couple of things I would bring up. And then Jason, I'm sure you can expand on it. But number one, it depends. When you go do a ride along with somebody in the field, it's not going to take long before you go, man, I don't like this. That house was stinky. That was awkward. I didn't feel comfortable. Versus another person that rides along with me goes, man, that was great. I love getting to go face to face. That it was so goofy what that guy had on his wall in there. And then he cracked, you're going to know pretty quick if you truly enjoy, and I don't mean 100% you love selling insurance face to face, but you're going to know, like, I can do this, right? Like, I enjoy that. Same goes for telesales. I did a year in final expense telesales, and I did pretty good, but there was two reasons why it wasn't for me. Number one, I really hated being on the phones. My personality, I had so much, I would get anxiety by halfway through the day from sitting still. I'm a very anxious person, and I began to dread being on the phone. Then I know people like yourself, but a bunch of people are like, dude, I love being in my pajamas. I love being able to like take a break and be in the comfort of my own home. I love how I can talk to thousands of prospects across the country all in one day, right? But they enjoy being on the phone, and that excites them. So if you're a new agent, you really got to ask yourself that question. Both of them work in different ways. What excites you more, right? Like, what do you prefer? Some people hate window time. I don't want to rack up miles on my car. Some people got to get out of the house constantly because they're like a busy bee, and you'll never get them to buckle down and work on the phone. So I say all that to say, how did you end up loving to specialize in telesales? Because it's kind of like in some ways, it's a personality trait, I think. So
part of it. I mean, it's part of it for sure. But I ran professional call centers for 3+ years. Okay. I ran it for 3 years before I even entered into the insurance industry. So I had a telesales background before I even became an insurance agent. And that helped in a huge way. I enjoy the old face-to-face days for sure, but I enjoy it as in like a past tense. It's just the windshield time. I can have way more conversations now and way more conversions because I'm not driving. I'm not getting no-showed that happens in the industry. But at the same point, I'm not benefiting from what you would be able to benefit. And you've found your niche where you can be that local guy and you know the local Medicare plans for your tight geographical area, right? Where an agent that maybe is across the entire nation, like what we do, it takes maybe a little bit more work to niche down because we can't get that niche and the rich of it when it's like, oh, the plan in Maryland is going to be completely different than maybe the plan in Tennessee or the plan in Georgia, right? So it's like you've got a major advantage there in how you guys are running that ground game, because once you get that ground game down, I'm just guessing here, but I'm guessing it's almost second nature for you and for Ethan, where as a telesales agent, if you're jumping around in states, right? And that's why I always propose work your own backyard prior. But if you're jumping around, you're not going to be as tight as when you're more geographically constrained by a vehicle.
Right.
Where it's like,
especially for Medicare, like that's why with final expense, it's like ubiquitous. It's the same, right?
Exactly.
That makes a ton of sense. For Medicare Advantage, I've never known an independent agent. I mean, so that means they're not working for any call center in any capacity, right? Like a true independent agent that worked like 40, 50 states for Medicare Advantage. It's just unrealistic to even be to the nuances between the plans. Now, Med Sup, you can do that, right? But if you want to do a good amount of Medicare Advantage, it's like, how could you even begin? Because even I live right outside of Fort Worth. So I kind of work the greater Dallas Fort Worth area. Man, we've got like 20 carriers that offer dozens of different Medicare Advantage plans. And there's so many nuances as to like which network of hospitals and doctors take which plans, and go on down the list. And so I'm able to say, when somebody calls me from around here within a couple 100 miles, I already know before they get halfway out of their mouth, like probably what plan's going to fit them. And so even my guys that want to do telesales specifically for Medicare Advantage, I encourage them with this product to do it over the phone in a region versus multiple states. We lose out on the ability to prospect to those massive numbers, but it's kind of, you have to narrow down your geographical area to become an expert in this product. Whereas, like, whenever you become an expert in final expense, one of the beautiful things of it is that it translates across state lines. Like, that expertise is just as valid in Idaho as it is in Oklahoma. So some of the differences there.
100% for sure. I love that. And it's so true. And the riches of the niches, and you niche down even to stay in with the retiree market, right? You're not going after mortgage protection insurance. You're not working nights and late weekends, chasing down mortgage leads and banging doors. You're dealing with the retiree population, the senior market, just like my agency is as well. And we don't have to work late nights unless we choose to. We don't have to work weekends unless we choose to. And that was one of the niches for me. Oh man, I loved it. Like, I can grab my telephone, work anywhere in the nation, and I can make income. I don't have to, like, the niche of physically being that brick and mortar, being that local guy where, when you train, and it sounds horrible to say, but when you train kind of your clients, you are training your clients on how they deal with you. If a client starts out on the phone with you, they'll stay on the phone with you and how you serve them. If you start off with that face-to-face, like what you guys are doing, it's tough to say, okay, I'm not going to go see you to service you anymore. We're going to do this all by phone from this point forward. They're going to go, but Kenny, you
Why
come to
can't
my
you
house
come
once a
out?
year, man. I miss you. I got
Yeah.
cookies for you. Get over here. Right. So
Yeah.
it's like, you're kind of like starting the dance, and how you start that dance is kind of how you need to finish it in some ways.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just my 2 cents on there. I don't know if you found that to be the case either.
Definitely, there's a percentage of clients that try to almost demand that yearly sit down. No doubt about it. No, most of them, dude, once they've got to know you in person and you've developed that relationship, they are okay with that transition to the phone. Because it's like, they don't have that question in the back of their head, who am I talking to, or anything like that. But there's probably 10 to 15% of my clients that I would lose if I didn't go back and visit with them in person, because they love that so much. But the other side of that is, those do tend to be very loyal clients, because since they're so adamant about that one-to-one touch, that 10 to 15%, they don't really answer any phone calls. They hate doing anything over the phone. And so this is where what this whole point of this conversation is, like, the niches, right? Like, I'm picking up on some, no, this isn't all of my clients, but some percentage of them will essentially only do business face-to-face. So they're the easiest ones to keep on the books long-term, because not many people are willing to come visit with them face-to-face, especially depends if they're out in the country or whatever, so, Absolutely. The pros and cons of every business. I've never been a big fan of trying to paint the perfect picture for something, because I've done too much in the senior market world to know, like, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Because that's where, what I was saying, like, what drives you? Like, if you get excited about the fact that you can talk, like, that your prospect pool is limitless, like, telesales is going to call to you. If you, like, get excited for whatever reason of going to people's houses and, like, seeing that in those funny, goofy situations, you're going to be able to duplicate your success longer, because you get excited about what you're doing. But the second aspect is good training, man. I've dabbled in things that I probably would have been really successful. And when I say dabbled, I mean, I'm not a dabbler. Okay. I gave it a good effort, but it didn't become my calling. But I don't even think it was necessarily that I wouldn't have enjoyed it. I just didn't have an expert that really knew how to show me how to do it. So it's like, though, you need both of those pieces to have success. You got to get excited and see the big picture about what you're doing. And then you've got to have a coach, a mentor that, like you do, man. You're like one of the most hands-on trainers I've ever met. I love that. There's so many people that don't get that, and that's why they fail out, but those two things kind of go hand in hand for your success.
Absolutely. Mentorship matters, right? Like, if you're contemplating the face-to-face arena, go for a ride along with somebody that's legit in the space. Go for a ride along with Kenny and be like, okay, what do the houses smell like? Am I cool with that? They're great people. Okay. I'm telling you, they're amazing folks. They're good. But then there's some people that are grouchy, and some people that'll slam the door on you, and some people that'll tell you to go somewhere that isn't heaven. Okay. It happens. But guess what? In the telespace, you're going to get it too. Okay. You're going to have the, like, go beep, beep, beep. Okay. Can't even say it on YouTube. You're going to get told all kinds of cranky little things, and you're going to get adversity. So don't think that, like, this industry is rainbows, okay, and unicorns, because 90+% of agents fail. A lot of them fail for lack of mentorship, lack of a good mindset, lack of good leads, lack of good training. They don't have somebody that'll really, like, be their partner in the business. It's more like, okay, you're going to get squeezed, okay, and just, here's a contract, you're independent, good, go be independent, see ya. A lot of places treat agents like that, which I think, contributes to agent failure. But, Kenny and I, we've talked a lot offline, and, a lot of agents, sometimes they think it's like the next shiny little object will somehow make them better, right? We've talked about that, where sometimes it's like, oh, well, if I just go here, then it'll somehow be better. And I'm not saying that there's not a reason, because there's agencies that don't train. They don't do what you do, Kenny, and they don't do what I do. And they don't actually put time in and serve great agents. But there's a fraction of the agent force that wants to find success without ever knowing what sweat smells like. Okay. This industry, you're going to have to sweat. If you want to have a chance, and yes, I said chance of success in this industry, it's phenomenal. Like you do what Kenny and I do and what agents that partner with us do, it's powerful, but it takes sweat. It doesn't come cheap, easy, or free. You got to put your back into it. You got to believe in yourself. I mean, have you seen that to be true too, where you get agents, you can kind of call them human ping pong balls sometimes, where they just bounce around like a bad pachinko machine and really don't like get after it, if that makes sense, even 100%. Though you've put a lot of time in?
Oh man, I've seen that so many times in this industry where it's always the next thing. And the thing is, none of these shiny objects are going to produce the fruit that you imagine they will without like a consistent pursuit and effort into them over time. Sure, I know you've met agents that come in and do 6 figures plus in their first year. That happens. Those people are out there. They're the 1%ers. But a lot of guys got to come in and they don't make $100,000 in 6 months, and they think, oh, this isn't it for me. I need something better. Well, no matter what, you're selling annuities, you're selling Medicare, you're selling final expense, $100,000, $500,000, $1 million. It's going to take some effort. It's there. The opportunity's there. I mean, we're living proof of it ourselves, but it just isn't easy. And you got to find a mentor and stick with something. That's one reason agents fail, not even just in general on leads, is because they've never worked leads before. They try one lead source, whatever it is. Okay. And then they have a bad week and they just give up on it. They're like, these sucked, this, that, and the other. I'm like,
it's the lead's fault.
Yeah, right? It's the lead's fault. Don't get me wrong. There's bad leads out there.
Oh, for sure.
You're not going to know how to work that lead and how to make the most of it and really know if it sucks or if it was just you weren't good yet. But then you stick with it for 6 months and you go, I'm glad I stuck with it because now I know how to get through to these leads. Now I know what to expect from these leads. And I love it. It's helping me grow my business. Or you can at least say, I gave it a genuine effort. It wasn't for me. I moved on to a different type of lead or a different product. Just like you said, man, if you don't smell any sweat, you're never going to get to where you're trying to go, no matter what niche you pursue. You're just going to bounce around.
Oh, for sure. And you've got to really love what you said, where you got a mentor, but you've got to stay with it. Like you've got to stay in that niche, which for those of you watching, sometimes your niche may be a little bit boring. Okay. You want to build something you're proud of, get into a niche like what I do, get into a niche like what Kenny does. Medicare, 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 if you want to make it. Then you get really good and you are now not the Swiss Army knife of insurance. I see this with agents that are brand new. I got shined on to this early in my career, brother, when I first started. Okay. And I've made this public. I thought the more crap in my briefcase, the more I was going to capitalize. Farthest thing from the truth. Oh, I got to sell you annuities and cancer policies and term and IUL and GUL and whole life and final expense and just all this stuff. And it's like you will lose your mind. Even if you know a little bit of each thing. It's like trying to build a house with a stinking Swiss Army knife. It's useless, even though it's a good tool. Okay. You got to have a hammer and just start hammering nails. And when you first start out, go into a niche, get with Medicare, get with just final expense. And then once you're so proficient, not perfect, but once you're so proficient that you can, slam the nails without making your hand go ouch every day. Okay. Then go to the next product, everyone. Then go to the next product. And that's where, for me personally, I became powerful.
You may even find, though, once you become proficient with that hammer let's say you take Jason's advice. You're like, man, I am going to learn final expense by the phone, come hell or high water, like this is what I'm going to do. You may find after a year and you're doing it, you're being consistent. You're like, I don't have the time nor the desire to add that product I thought I needed because I'm crushing it right here. Like, even me, I know how to sell final expense. Not saying I'm the best ever, but I've done it at a high level. I only cross-sell final expense if they really want it. You know what I mean? Like if they have a policy that I know is garbage, I'm going to help my customer out. I'll make some money on that. But I'm just like so zoned in on Medicare that I rarely, when I sell final expense at least a couple of times a month. But other than that, I will not sell. You know, a lot of Medicare agents try to sell ACA, Obamacare. And that's fine, but it's like, dude, just, there's not enough time in the day for me to take care of all the seniors right around me that I'm trying to hit, you know? So you may find that you don't even want to be a Swiss Army knife. So niche down, get better, like Jason said, then ask yourself the same question. And you may be surprised at what you tell yourself at that point.
And it takes hard work, everyone watching. It takes hard work to do what Kenny's doing in the Medicare space, going face to face, getting it done and having great success. He sweats, he gets it done, and it's work, 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 work. So for those of you watching, thinking that success comes cheap, easy, and free, you're going to find yourself in a place that you go, ouch, ouch, ouch. Okay. This business is all about hard work. The harder you work, the luckier that you can get. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, but you got to niche down, put your head down and quit. Like the biggest thing for me is the shiny object syndrome, right? A lot of agents are like, ooh, the shiny object. I need this new fancy CRM, or I need these other leads over here, or maybe this is the magic ticket. Maybe I need, you know, a fancier car to sell more policies. And it's a bunch of poison you're ingesting, team. Like, you know, what Kenny's doing with direct mail leads and a couple other lead sources that are tried and true. Okay. The gold standard of leads. Okay. And he's getting after it with great success. It's a simple business, everyone watching, but it's not easy. But the mentorship will help you make it. When you've got the sweat going on, you're like, ooh, can I still stand? And you've got a mentor that's like, I got you, buddy. I'm going to spot you. I'm going to spot you. You can go heavier. I won't let you get hurt. Let's go. Okay. When you got somebody spotting you, okay, in the industry that's done it for a long time successfully. And that's why I would say vet your trainer. Vet your trainer. It's a very dangerous place to be as an insurance agent if you have someone training you that has not done it. So if you're going to do telesales, say, how long have you done telesales personally? What's your best 6 months? Okay. How many sales have you personally ever sold by phone yourself in 6 months? Let's hear it. Okay. Mm-hmm. How many years have you done it? Just like with Kenny, he's very successful. He does it in a major good way. This isn't like a right way of telesales and a wrong way here. No, he does it a great way. He's getting that rich in that niche, and he's mentoring and helping face-to-face agents attain greatness, but you've got to want it. And if you want it, you've got to work for it. It's not, we don't just talk about it. We actually transact every day and actually do it. And that's what has helped me. It's not just yakking. It's just like, let's go, lean in. So, and I know for you, have you seen that too on the face-to-face side where it's just success is clothed in hard work?
100%, man. Yeah. I think there's a kind of a funny little farce about this industry. Like that you can, it's like, you're going to, the lazy Medicare agent people talk about, you know what Medicare agent is lazy? One of two agents. One, the guy that's about to fail out of the business. Or two, the guy that has sweat so much for year after year after year that their renewals are so big that now they can be lazy. Okay, that's it. There's no in every second in between there, it was hard work, you know. So I see it all the time, and this business takes work. But you know, I always tell people this too. I know you, Jason, you have like a really high, strong work ethic. And I have a strong work ethic too, obviously, to some degree, but I don't think to the level you do. But what I do have is consistency. Like I'm persistent. I stick with it. And I do, when I find something that works, I just do it again and again and again. So you have to work hard, but you don't have to work 100 hours a week, right? Like you don't have to. That will get you there faster, usually, right? But you have to work hard and consistent over a long period of time. Like don't expect success overnight. And just when you got that mentor and you have that system you're going to duplicate, maybe you aren't the guy that can put in 12 hours a day because you value whatever else in your life. You can do what we're doing without working you're going to have to sweat, but it doesn't have to be absurd. It just has to be consistent. Would you agree with that too, though?
Absolutely. I love what you said about that, where so you've got to be persistent. Like if you want a chance of being profitable, okay, this industry is going to be a little pain. Okay. No pain, no gain. But I love the fact, Kenny, where you're like, you have to be persistent. You want to get what you want, don't give up. Okay. If you're one that gives up every time things get tough, okay, this industry is not for you. Just don't even start it. Okay. If you're an agent that's like, man, I just give up. If you got a whole lot of quit up in you, you're never going to make success. If you got a whole lot of quit in you, run. Don't go into this industry. This industry is about persistence, staying at it, staying in the niche. Like you're not going to, okay, dig a good foundation if you don't stay with your back into it. You got to believe what you're doing is right for the client. But to get what you want, you cannot give up. And too many agents I've seen, they give up right before they hit the gold. They're digging and then they stop. And the next agent gets down into the dirt, gets their hands dirty and starts digging, and is going to find success because you never dug deep enough on that lead. You didn't resolve that lead. There was a lead request. They only knocked that door twice and like, garbage lead, threw it away. And you and I would just door knock that thing until, okay, they either get a great product for us or we find out they passed on. We're going to pursue their hearts and try to help them. Most agents give up. I've seen this, and you don't give up. Like, and you're not lazy by any stretch. It's like we don't work. We don't have to work longer than we choose to. And when we work, we go all in, like all in or not at all. Like this half speed stuff is crazy to me.
So here's a little tip for some people that are that have stuck. If you've stuck with us this far into the show or the video, when you are new, you have to milk your leads. I just put a video out on my channel recently called "How to Milk Those Leads." And so for me, that's a combination of calling, because I like to call and book my appointments before I door knock leads. And
absolutely.
So, but what I'm getting at is, just like Jason just said, you got to resolve the lead. You have to be persistent on a lead. You paid money for that lead. You're trying your very best to help somebody and to generate an income off your investment in that lead. But here's something that's pretty cool. Whenever you have been in the insurance business long enough and you've put in enough persistency, you can actually choose not to milk your leads as much. Why? Because now you have a higher income, you've got money, you've got renewals, maybe you've trained some agents below you years down, as you grow in the business. And so then at that point, you either work your leads super smart and super hard, or if you've got the money, you take the low-hanging fruit and you buy more leads. You can only do that once you've got the money and the know-how, right? I'm honestly, if I'm training an agent, I'm working my leads. Like, we're going to work these 20 leads. I'm going to show you how to get 10 policies out of these 20 leads. But if I'm working just completely by myself, I can afford it. I will maybe I'll maybe milk them to like 6, and then I'll say, I'm going to buy another 20 leads. But I'm still working, right? I just have the funds now to double or triple down on more leads so that you don't have to milk them as hard. But if you're new to this business and you're trying to pursue your dream and have the money to be able to do things like that, you have to milk the lead and resolve each lead. But I don't know why I shared that. I think it's just funny that it's gold. Because as you have more money and more success, you can say, I did my one door knock through these leads. I got my 4 Betty and Toms that were like at the door waiting on me, ready to go. Instead of grinding the rest of these leads, I can buy another 20 leads right now and just go, you know what I'm saying? So
absolutely. Because when an agent's new, like, you've got to put the time in and the sweat. You just do. And then you become more successful. And you're like, now we're like, you know what? I don't care what leads cost. It doesn't matter. Give me a good lead that's exclusive, that no one else's hands have touched, and let's go take care of business, because you're so scalpel sharp serving these great men and women. And when agents are new, sometimes it's better to start with maybe a good aged lead. We've got great, lead vendors for telesales, but even in telesales, there's that where they don't resolve that lead. An agent may only call it once or twice and then give up on the lead. Yeah. And that just became an aged lead for somebody else that they'll go work, right? Because they want success. And some veteran agents can be lazy. Let's just call a spade, right, Kenny?
Yeah. But you kind of earn that. Your tools are sharp. Yes. Your savings is stout. Maybe your renewals are great. But you only get there by repetition and the persistence that we've been talking about. And this is another thing, I know we're probably coming up towards the end of this, but that's another thing that just is a testament to niches. If you're trying to do everything, you never have all of your little Swiss tools are all kind of like rusty and dull. But if you just have one or two products that you truly like hone in on that skill and hone in on that product, it upside down, inside out, and you serve that same prospect every week, so you know how to overcome that objection. That doesn't phase you anymore. You know how to get to move past that. That's a result of specializing, and it's a result of diving deep into a niche. And I wish I would have heard these words 7 years ago when I got into the business, because it would have I would be a lot more financially successful now had I been doing this the idea of specializing early on. So
absolutely, brother. I lost so much money by not buying into the lie that I need to be all things to all people. And I got to have all products and know all of it like right now. Like I was shined onto that, right? And I think maybe you were victim to that too in your first starter company, right? Mm-hmm. And then later on, it's like, oh, I'm just going to do one thing. And that's when the income started massively accelerating. And same for you, right? With you guys are cranking it with the Medicare Millennials, hitting that niche, right? Where it's like, let's do the Medicare. Let's do one thing really, really, really good. And then just keep doing more of that. Like keep helping folks, keep helping more people. And that's the same way in the telespace. It just looks different. There's no right way or wrong way here. Okay. There's not. It's like if you're helping others get what they want, you're doing the good work. Okay. Getting the face-to-face that Kenny and them are doing is power. It's just a different way to play. We're all just having fun, taking care of good people with great products, but it's a different just type of work. That's all it is. And in the wealth that is accumulated, should I say can be, because not everybody makes it in this industry. Let's be clear about that. But the wealth that can be accumulated, would you say that it's the same in your industry as it is in mine, where it's kind of, I call it like, it's like a snowflake. At first, it's lots of hard work and it seems insignificant. You get a couple MAPDs, Okay, it's not a lot of money, but it adds up slowly. And you get a bunch of final expense policies, Seems like not a lot, but it adds up slowly because we make it up in volume. And then you stay in this industry your first year. And then it's like, ooh, I got paid in my slippers, right? And it's like, ooh, I got paid with my kids in the background. This is awesome. And then you do this 5 years, 10 years, okay? You expand 15 plus years, as long as I've been in the business. And it's like, man, the renewals are amazing. I'm still getting paid from my first starter company years and years and years ago. They're still paying me on these itty bitty little policies, final expense policies that I wrote long time ago. So it's the long play, everyone, by being a hard worker and grinding and sweating and helping and serving these great people. It's worth it. I promise you, it'll be worth it in your career if you would just stick and stay. Yeah. And you see that too, where the new agents kind of lose sight sometimes of what they're truly building. And they don't they see a couple sales, because you're in the same position, right, brother? Where they get a couple sales and it's maybe a couple $100. If it's like not a T65, maybe you can go into some of that, how you guys work as well.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it just reminded me when I first got into final expense, my favorite company back then was Transamerica. I loved selling their final expense product. It was really flexible. They had that standard and preferred, and both of those were level. They had a really, I wouldn't say easy, but like a simple underwriting questions on, and these were all paper apps at that time. Not that there were electronic apps. It was only 7 or 8 years ago, but final expense companies they took them a lot longer to join the train with technology. So I used to love selling Transamerica. It was my go-to, that was my first one. And then I think back then Forrester's was my second choice. How things have changed. But I still get a check every month from Transamerica on renewals, and it's like still close to $1,000. Are you kidding me? That's pretty cool. And final expense, their renewals aren't near as big in the long term as Medicare, but I still built that up on one company by just hard work. Just reminded me that I'm still getting paid on that from final expense, a company that I haven't sold in years now. But yes, dude, I have personally been there where you're like, dude, is what I'm doing worth it? Like I'm not going to make $1 million this year. You know, I thought I was already going to be rich. Like, but then those little, like you said, I like what you said about snowflake. A snowflake, the first one, it just melts on the concrete, right? It don't even seem to stick around at all. But it gets that spot gets a little colder and colder, and then the next few snowflakes stick, and then next thing you know, you got a mound of snow, and you're just successful and you're reaping the fruits of what you did. That's the insurance business for you. So I've got an appointment coming up, Jason. So I did want to ask you real quick, because I'm going to cross post this on your kind of interview or recording us today, but I would post this on my channel. Absolutely, where brother. Can my guys, like, the best way to find you? Is it on YouTube? Do you like when they go to your website?
Oh, absolutely. They can go to, just search Jason Final Expense. You'll see this ugly face on there. Okay. Or you can go to jasonfinalexpense.com. You can click the little link on there. I've got a YouTube link on my website as well. So that's the easiest way to find me. And then for those of you watching with Kenny, make sure you let me know, for the crew out there, where they can reach you. Okay. Medicare Millennials, and let them know your channel.
Yep. So it's just Medicare Millennials on YouTube and Medicare Millennials on Instagram. We do put out a lot of little kind of motivational content on Instagram. YouTube's obviously a little more in depth. We do some cool training stuff on YouTube. And then our website's just MedicareMillennials.com. So man, thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome. And thanks for you, the audience watching, and anything we can do to serve you, let us know. Appreciate you greatly. And let me tell you, these little snowflakes, they really, really add up. The riches are really, truthfully, in the niches. Okay. Don't get shined on by you've got to have every little tool to really take it to the next level. It's a lie. Okay. Niche down, you'll find the riches, but make sure you got a good mentor in your life, like Kenny or myself or somebody else. There's a lot of good mentors out there too. Okay. We're not the only game in town, but make sure you've got a good fit, and hopefully you'll find success. I appreciate y'all watching. Kenny, lead us out, brother.
All right. We'll see you guys.